Welcome to creating 3D stuff. Um, I didn't see any requests yet today. Uh, my plan was to finish up the F22 model that we started a couple days ago. So let's jump right back into it if there's no other suggestions. And if you want to suggest a new project for us to model next, just go to the Patreon. There's a link in the channel, and that's where you can make requests for projects that you want to see modeled. Okay, let me just bring back this toolbar. Go to View, Toolbars, and then pick the large tool set. Just a couple of settings. Okay. Just so you can see the buttons a little better. So here's where we ended up last time. We got the basic shape of the top of it, and the wings and the tail. Now we mirrored this this mesh from this side to this side, so it's identical, which we can make this look a little better if we just reapply this material so it doesn't look so much like a mirror. So if I go to Materials tab and then click on the eyedropper and pick this material, then reapply it, now it'll smooth out that material across both surfaces instead of looking like it's an exact copy from one side to the other. Now wait, I didn't Photoshop this side, so I can't do that with this one because then it will look a little bit funky. But I could do it on a few of these faces. So if I go View, Hidden Geometry, I could eyedropper just a few of these faces just to smooth out this seam a little bit. And of course, you can edit the texture a lot more as you go. This is just doing the rough modeling part, using the image and then using the image as a texture, kind of a quickie. But you can always do more Photoshop work and get the texture looking a lot better. I think I want to just rotate this a little bit, so I'm just going to use the Move tool, hold down Control, and just use this as a template. Right click, say Make Group. I want to try to smooth out those lines a little bit. So I'm going to rotate, click on this and drag it this way, and then just rotate a little bit. See if I can change the texture to be a little bit more what I think it should look like. Maybe if I just scale it out a little bit, it'll help. It's looking a little better. What would happen if I just did that? I think I like this better. Try this. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay. So now we're going to start on the bottom part, and I'll move in these reference images. so I can see what we're doing here. And there's these kind of air intakes right here. So I think the first thing I want to do is move some of these lines down a little bit. Kind of rotate it to match the image there. Looks better. I'll rotate this one down a little bit. There. Bring in this reference image back over to the center. So the first thing I want to do is model this air intake fin here. So I'll start with a simple box shape. And then I'll pull those lines out. Let's see here. So I'll probably want to rotate it. We go to a straight on view and then click on camera, parallel projection. I can see where this should line up. There, that looks good right there. Now, I'm just gonna delete this face real quick. Go to X-ray mode. So I know that it lines up that way. Use the pencil tool and line up in this direction. There, that should be the right shape now. Because we lined it up at all the different angles. I'll go back to perspective view. Now I'm just going to draw straight back here. fill in this shape a little bit. Okay, I'm going to triple click that, right click, make a group. Then I'm going to give it view component edit height rested model. I'm going to just copy these lines over to give it a little more dimension. I can start manipulating those lines. Hold down control and move. I'm going to explode this and then just start to shape it a little bit. Just using the select tool and the scale tool. I'm going to select this whole thing, triple click, right click, and say reverse faces so that it's pointing in the right direction now. Now I want to close up and fill in this hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a triangle across here. I'll make two triangles. Select both of them, right click and make group, and then I can use the scale tool to scale it in. And that will be the inner part. Just to kind of fill it in. So I'll draw a line with a pencil tool from here to here on all the edges. Close up at the inner part. I don't really need this top part, so I'll use the eraser tool. This is just extra, we don't need it. You won't see it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to copy part of this mesh down to the bottom to start with. And move this out of the way. So view, hidden geometry, and I'm going to grab some of this mesh here. Hold down Control and use the Select tool. Just gonna use half of it. And Control Move, make a copy, and then scale it. -1, enter. And then move it up here. Rotate. It does look like a bird beak. So there should be a nice crisp edge on it. I think this row should go up a little bit more. And it should come in a little bit. And just select all of these. Once we pull it in a little bit, we're going to connect this mesh to that upper mesh. Actually, we want this to go a little bit past to show a little bit of a dimensional piece of metal in here. I should have left that one piece. There, now we can connect this to that back piece. Let's save it so far. And then just start connecting these meshes together. It's coming along nicely. Now the wing has a little bit of thickness when you get back to this point, so I'm going to just try to incorporate a little bit of that thickness in here as I'm connecting these meshes together. This should probably go in. To line up with our top view, what it looks like. Select tool, right click, reverse face on that. We want all of them to be facing the same direction. We don't want any reverse normals. It could really mess us up later on if you're doing an interactive video game, VR, any kind of experience like that. They don't always recognize both sides of the face, so make sure that you have I use a color system of white and tan. So white is on the outside, tan is on the inside. It's very important. Okay. So now we just gotta finish up this mesh. I'll just start bringing it over. Connecting everything together using the pencil tool. And to snap it to this color, you just hold shift, and then I can measure the length off of the line. Delete that extra face, we don't want that. So there's two things I need to do. First, I need to smooth out the edges that should be smooth. So use the eraser tool, hold down Control, and I can smooth out these. I want to leave that nice crease because that's what it looks like in real life. The metal is welded together in a nice crease right there. Let's smooth out the rest of it. This should be a crease, but then smooth out the inner parts of it. There's extra on there. We'll fix a couple of these lines a little bit. Now I know when I drew these lines I made an extra face inside here. So I'm just going to select it, right click, make, double click, right click, make group, and hit delete on the keyboard. And there's an extra face there because that shouldn't be white. That's where the color coding comes in handy. Eraser tool, hold control, smooth. I'm gonna delete this line and redraw it to line up a little better. There. And I'm gonna extend this out a little bit with the scale tool. I'll redraw these two lines. Eraser, smooth. Now we should be able to just apply the texture to this face. It's going to apply it from above, so it might not look perfect, but we can fix a few things as we go, just to get a little bit of a metal color onto it. It's looking better. Now, it's not letting me select that, but if I do view, hidden geometry, all those lines show up again and I can easily delete that. Okay, let's call it good for now. This metal fin right here and this little part right here, it's got some funky texturing going on. So to fix that for just right now, for a quick fix, let's fix these lines here first. I think that's good. Or maybe just smooth this out a little bit. It's a little bit chunky. Okay. So for a quick fix on the texture, we can always go back and make it better later. But we'll just take this as a reference, move holding control to make a copy. Then I just want this part right here. So I select that and make it a group. and then I move it over, scale it bigger. I might be able to just fix this texture up a little bit. Not perfect, but just until if we ever want to go back into Photoshop and make it everything really nice on all the angles we can, but for now, this. And then this fin here, I'm gonna fix this texture. See if I can just make it bigger and reapply it to this fin. We'll go with that for right now. That's pretty much it for the bottom part. We could spend hours just getting every little detail perfect, but it's the basic shape. It all depends on what you're using it for. If it's your main object of interest, well, then you definitely want it to be highly detailed, but if it's just something flying around in the background, then it's not important to have it super high detailed. This should give that illusion just fine. So let's save this. And then we'll mirror that mesh that we just made. Might be a little bit tricky, but because we drew a lot onto the wing here. I'm going to do something because I want to preserve what we did with the texturing here. So I'm going to double click that windshield, make it into a group, and then I'm going to go to the tags, which used to be called layers. Either way, depends on what version of SketchUp you're using. I'm going to make a new tag or layer, and then go to Entity Info window, select on that, put it on that new layer, and then just turn off the visibility. So it's still there in our model. I'm just turning off the layer that group is on, and these ones are done, so I'm going to put all those on that same layer or tag, whatever you call it. And also, this texturing, we messed with the texture here, so I want to preserve that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything from here forward and make that into a group on both sides, because I want to preserve. I don't want to have to redo all the little texture edits we already did earlier. So that should be good. Just want to select all this mesh up here. Hold down Control and Shift to deselect anything we might have grabbed on accident. Right click, make group, and then put that on that hidden tag. Now I'm going to delete with the eraser tool, because I added so much to this side. I'm going to re-mirror it. That should save us a lot of time. Just select it, delete, select it, move, hold Control, and then scale, type in 1 enter, or -1 enter. Okay, now we'll move it back over and snap it to where it goes there. Turn off view hidden geometry, and then just smooth out the rest of these lines in the middle using holding control and using the eraser tool. It's a very nice, handy little trick. Then I turn back that tag on, we get our meshes back. Back in business. Oh yeah. Ready to shoot down some bogeys. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna call that good for the shell of the plane. And right click, update that view, because I like that view a little better. And I like to, when I'm done modeling a big object or a large portion of it, I like to go to Window, Model Info, and then Statistics, and then click Purge Unused. That way anything we've been doing that we deleted but it might be still in the background, all software tries to hold on to some things, and I just like to get rid of as much as I can that we don't need. Clean up the model. So that materials, there's just the 2 that we need. Tags, I'm just gonna delete the tag. I'm gonna right click it, delete. But when it says, do you want to delete what's on it? No. Do you want to assign to another tag? Untagged? Yes. That way, because I don't need them to be hidden anymore. We're just going to be modeling the wheels. And also, I found some munitions, like some bombs and missiles from some other photos I saw. So I want to model those too. So let's save it, and then we can go ahead and can model these wheels. So let's bring these over. So I'll do this big wheel back here, and then we can just duplicate it and move it to the smaller one. So I want to draw both of these shapes to get the wheel. So I could draw a circle, use the circle tool, and draw the circle. And it has 24 facets or sides by default, and so if I go to click on that circle and go to Entity Info tab, I can tell it how many sides to have. So I want it to be more smooth, so I'm going to do 48 and then hit enter, and now it's a more smooth circle. There's 48 sides. Now I'm going to draw this profile, half of this profile, but I want to start with the center of that. So let me move this image over to the center, and then I'll draw this profile, this wheel. Use the arc tool. How many sides does it have? 12 by default. I only need about maybe 4 to make it look good. Yeah. Alright, it did. Oh, I typed 4. 4, enter. Okay. Actually, I'll do 5. Let's see what 5 looks like. Click on the arc tool, type 5, enter. Now it should have 5 sides. Yeah, that's fine. Let me do it like this. Delete the extra line. I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay. I'm I'm gonna right click that curve, explode curve, and I'm just gonna scale these down a little bit to give it a little smoother edge. Okay. Now, I always like to delete any extra faces we don't need. So, I'm gonna do with the follow me tool. So first I click on the profile curve, and then I click follow me tool. Then I click on what I want to make follow it. So now that follows that curve, and it turns into a wheel. And I'll just see what happens if I apply that same material to the wheel. It's a little bit different size. Let me scale it down so I can get that texture properly on there. There, that's better. So that's our front texture. Let me delete this, and then I can use this for the side texture. Right click now. To adjust this, if I see how it's not perfectly lined up, I can right click on a face and say texture position. Now I can move that texture around without moving my image. So adjust and then hit enter, and then I can eyedropper that same texture onto the other side. Triple click, right click, make group. Actually, I'm gonna undo that. Triple click, right click, make component. So what this does is it makes it a component in SketchUp. So now, because I'm going to have it copied 3 times, let me just scale this up a little bit. So it's sitting on the ground. And then, so if I move, hold on control, and I duplicate it over here, and then I duplicate it again, to be the small one, and then just shrink it down, and then I can go to different views to get it lined up perfectly. Oops. I guess that should be more like that. Let me just duplicate this to get the positioning. Type in -1, enter on the scale tool. Go to my front view. Now I can see if it's lined up. Oh, there we go. Let's redo this. Okay. So, what the difference is between a group and a component in SketchUp, at least, is that when you make a group, it's by itself. So this is a group, and if I were to duplicate this, and I can edit this group, do whatever I want, it doesn't change its copy. But when you have a component in SketchUp, if I were to change one of the copies, it changes all of the copies. You can see what's happening in the background. So it's very useful for things like this. Let's say I wanted to add more detail to this texture, it would automatically add the same detail to all the wheels, because they're copies of each other, they're components. They're in some software it's called an instance, but a lot of softwares do the exact same thing. They just use different words for the same thing. I don't know why. And then for these little pieces of metal, I mean, they're literally just pieces of metal. We could just there's a freehand tool where you can just draw, scribble whatever you want. could just do it this way if we want to do it really quick. And then just use the push-pull tool to give it a little bit of thickness. And then move it over to the middle. Give it a material. Do the same thing with these. Just give them a little bit of thickness. What I'm going to do is just turn all this into a group. It's kind of a little bit messy. Camera, projection, parallel projection. I'm just going to duplicate these meshes over here, scale them, -1. And then place them back where they're supposed to be. So in reality, these little pieces of metal should be holding the bombs from coming in and hitting. They're kind of supporting the bombs, and these support the wheels. So now that we're done with the wheels, I do want to bring in the bombs. Just when I bring them in, be really careful because you don't want to set them off. So we're getting some clipping. Looks like it's disappearing, but it's just clipping. If I go to camera perspective, it'll get rid of that. If I can, okay, here we go. Just click on scene 1. There we go. Okay, now we have wheels. And you know, we could just artificially just make these connect. Just so it doesn't look like it's floating. Okay. So we can turn on shadows now that we have wheels. So before, if we didn't have wheels, you know, the thing would just fall and crash onto the ground. But now that we have wheels, it'll set on the ground nicely without damaging the airplane. I'm going to select everything, just Control A, because I can see it's floating a little bit above the ground. I'm going to move everything down until it sits right on the ground. There. I can adjust the shadow brightness. Angle of the sun. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's use that as our view. Let's window, model info statistics, purge unused. Let's save. Okay, so I think I updated this texture already with these first payload bombs. So if I click on this and click edit in the materials window, and I go find that same image again with the updated texture, the bomb should show up. There we go. So it's just a cylinder. So we could start off by drawing a circle. We'll use 48 sides, enter. And because of the texture is kind of on an angle because of the angle of the photo, I'm just going to start with a little bit of this just to grab that texture. I like that texture there. Then what I'm going to do is, this will be the model, and I know obviously it's got to be bigger. I'll scale it up, see what it looks like against, maybe a little bit too big. And I'll just give this the generic texture. Actually, I want to save that. I scaled up the texture as well, so it's basically, it's a really simple cylinder. So I could just do push-pull tool, hold down Control, and then click on this face and then scale it down. That's one way to do it. Now this one I want to just draw it straight to the middle. So I could find the middle and then just use the eraser tool, erase that part, and then reconnect. This is one way to do it. It might seem like a little bit of a hassle. The other way obviously is to do it the way we did the wheels, but I would do that, I would need a side profile of the bomb, which I don't have one, but I could draw one just from memory. Just kind of fake it. Might be easier than doing it this way. There's also another little trick, since these are all the same. If I select one, let me save it, just in case it crashes. If I select one of these and I click on rotate and I click and drag so I get the right direction, then I hold down Control and click on this side and then this side, it'll rotate a copy, and then I can type in 12x enter. So it's multiplying it 12 times. I can do 22x enter, 33x enter. Oh, let's see, 25, 29, 31, 32. There. So I just close that up, and then I could scale this now to be however I want it to be. I'll delete the inside extra face. I'm gonna move this over, and scale this down a little bit, and then use the eraser, hold down Control, and smooth out these lines. Let me turn down the brightness a little bit so I can see my model better. Okay. Now I'll just mirror this over, scale it, -1. Delete these faces, bring it together, smooth. Select all of it, right click, explode curves. And now I can reapply my material from here. There. Now we got our bomb. We're gonna triple click it, make it a component, and then move it into place. We do need this support right here, so we could just draw that really quick. Okay, those bombs are done. So really, truthfully, we don't really need this stuff anymore. It is good for reference, because if we want to get a little more detailed, you can see there's a little bit of curve in the wing, a little bit of shape to certain things. We're probably not going to mess with that right now, but we can always save. We have these versions that have the images saved. We can go back to them later. So for now, I'm going to delete it. Delete this. Save final version of it. And this will be available to download. If you want to decide, give a suggestion of what the next project should be to make in 3D, go to the Patreon page. There's a link in the channel. And you might be the one to decide the next project we make.